So for today, I want us to solve quadratic equations. And as we solve quadratic equations, I want us to remember this, that a quadratic equation is any equation written in the format a x squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, where a and b are coefficients. They are coefficients of x squared and x. Somebody might be wondering, what is a coefficient? A coefficient is simply a constant number multiplied by a variable. Constant number multiplied by a variable is what we call a coefficient. So any constant number multiplied by a variable is called a coefficient. While letter C stands for a constant value or a constant number. A constant value in the equation. So any equation written in the form ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, then it is called a quadratic equation. If not this way, it can as well also be written in this particular form, a squared minus b squared is equal to 0. But now, when it is written in this particular format, we call this a difference of two squares. A difference of two squares. A difference of two squares. So that is how we call that, a difference of two squares. A squared minus b squared is termed as a difference of two squares. Now, this difference of two squares, then how can you be able to factorize it? That if I have a squared, b squared, then I can factorize this one as equal to the square root of a squared is a, the square root of b is that. I write this in the first bracket. The second bracket again, a, b. Then I simply interchange the sign of operation. One bracket will have positive, the other one will have negative. If you expand this, it will lead you to this. If you expand and simplify this one, you get this. So this is how you simplify this. By simply knowing what is the square root of a squared is a, the square root of b squared is b. Therefore, get two brackets. One of them has a positive, the other one has negative. So a quadratic equation might either be take this particular format, or it might as well take this particular format. Therefore, the two then will lead us to what you're calling what? We start by simplifying a quadratic equation, and after simplifying, we will also try and do it and solve a quadratic equation. So when you simplify, it is just an expression. When you simplify, it is an expression. But when you are solving, it is what? An equation. So I will start by showing you how to simplify. Then after simplifying, or either way factorizing, then we will go ahead and try and solve. So I will say example, factorize. I will start with factorizing a difference of two squares. Factorize x squared minus 36. You see, this is a perfect square, this is a perfect square. And this one is called an expression. Factorize this quadratic expression. So the square root, to factorize this, then we are saying the square root of x squared, the square root of x squared is x, the square root of 36 is 6. Have it on one bracket. The square root, again the same components, 6 and x. Subtract and add. So this is how you factorize a difference of two squares. Simply look for the square root of this, which is x. The square root of this is 36. Write them in two brackets, then interchange the signs. One must have a positive, the other one is a negative. So this is how you factorize that. Let me say this example. B, this is a for instance. B, let me say you're factorizing 4x squared minus a number like, let's say, 64. 4 is a perfect square, x squared is a perfect square, 64 is a perfect square. So you realize when you look at all this, then you are saying that this one is also a difference of two squares. So what do? We start by first of all factorizing this. What is the square root of 4? Is 2. The square root of x squared is x. The square root of 64 is 8. Subtract in the first bracket. The second bracket, the same components, x plus 8. You only change the sign. And that becomes what? The factorization of the above quadratic equation. I want to teach you as much as I'm factorizing now. After factorization, I'll now go ahead and solve. But now when I'm solving, I am not going to use an expression, but rather I will use an equation of the same components to teach you how to solve a quadratic equation of a difference of two squares. Example on how to solve. Example, solve this quadratic equation below. Solve this quadratic equation below. So the first one, x squared minus 81 is equal to 0. This is a perfect square, this is a perfect square. What is the square root of this? The square root of this is x. The square root of 81 is 9. Have the first bracket, have the second bracket with the same component. Then simply interchange the signs. Is equal to 0. What next? Equate each of the expression to 0. Each of the factorized bracket, therefore x plus 9 is equal to 0, or x take away 9 is equal to 0. What next? We now solve for the value of x. X is equal to, for the first one, when a positive 9 crosses equal sign, it becomes negative 9. Or the next root for x, when a negative 9 crosses equal sign, it becomes positive. And these are my solution for that. Good. So I hope you follow through on how to solve and how to factorize. I want us to look at another example on how to solve a difference of two squares. Then I'll also go ahead and give you quite a number of difference of two squares, and you will also want to try them at your own time and see what you can do. The second example that I'm solving is 16y squared minus 256 is equal to 0. This is a perfect square. 16y squared is a perfect square. 256 is a perfect square. Then we go ahead and start. The first thing, we factorize what is on the left hand side. The square root of 16 is 4. The square root of y squared is y. The square root of 256 is 16, the first bracket. The second bracket, the same component, 4y, 16. Then just simply interchange the signs, everything is equal to 0. Equate each factorized bracket to 0. Therefore now I'll say, I have 4y, take away 16 is equal to 0. Or, I have 4y, add 16 is equal to 0. We go ahead and solve. The first one, 4y is equal to, when negative 16 crosses equal sign, it becomes positive. Therefore, I divide by 4 on both sides to get the value of y. So for this particular case here, the value of y is equal to 4. That is the first equation. The second equation, I have 4y is equal to positive 16 crossing equal sign, it becomes negative. Then I'll go ahead and divide both sides by 4. 4 and 4. Therefore here y is equal to negative 4. And therefore the 2 becomes my solution. So that is how you can be able to solve this type of a quadratic equation. At your own time, I want you to take some time and go through this and try to solve for me this exercise. I want you to take your own time and also try to solve this difference of two squares. Solve for x. And I've said what I'm giving down here is all about what? A difference of two squares. Therefore, the first one, y squared minus 25 is equal to 0. That is question 1. Question 2, 36 y squared minus 81 is equal to 0. Question 3, 4x squared minus, let's use a number like 100 is equal to 0. And you can see that all of them are talking about what? A difference of two squares. So I want you to take your time, go through the examples that I've solved for you. After you've gone through the examples above, also try and attempt this by your own self. Are you able to solve a difference of two squares? Apart from that, also, are you able to factorize? Not just only solving, but you can also as well do what? As factorize. But now when you're factorizing, you factorize for me expressions. I'll write the same, y squared minus 25 as my first one there. B, 36y squared minus 81. These are now expressions. Try and factorize. Then C, 4x squared minus 100. These are expressions. These are equations to solve for the value of x. But here, you are simply factorizing. Solve for the value of x and y. Because there is y and also x. But here, you factorize. So look at this, a difference of two squares. I would also want us to look at quadratic expressions that take this particular format, whereby the first thing before we start solving them, I would want us to try and factorize before we start solving. So the first one will read as x squared plus 14x plus 45 is equal to 0. So that is the first quadratic. I want to make it first of all an expression by not involving that. Then now I want you to do what? To factorize. Yeah? Factorize that. Factorize the above expression. The above expression. Factorize the above expression. So what do? You realize that the quadratic expression is in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. Now here, before we factorize, we must get what is our product and what is our sum. Yeah? Before we factorize, we must get what is our product and what is our sum. So product is always equal to the coefficient of x squared multiplied by c. So a times c will give us the product. For the above case, it is 1 multiplied by 45. Therefore, our product is 45. The sum is always the coefficient of x, which is, for the above case, is what? Is 14. Now what happens? We look for two factors. When we multiply them, we get 45. When we add them, sum, we get 14. But when you multiply them, the product, you get 45. What are the two possible numbers? If you add them, you get 14, and if you multiply them, you get 45. The two possible factors are, or the two possible numbers are, so the factors are 9 and 5. 9 and what? 9 and 5. So I hope you followed through this clearly, because I need this space to work out more questions, so I'll do away with this. Now, the two factors. Can you find product? Product is equal to 9 times 5, 45. Correct. Sum, 9 plus 5, 14. Correct. So the factors are okay. Once I have identified the factors, I use these two factors to expand the coefficient of x. Use the factors to expand the coefficient of x. At the start of the lesson, I told you what is a coefficient. So you expand the coefficient of x. Therefore, now we shall say we have x squared plus 9x plus 5x plus 45. After I have expanded the coefficient of x, which was 14x, but now I have 9x plus 5x, I group the two factors, the first and the second pair. So here what is common? X is common. Into bracket x plus 9, close the bracket. Plus, what is common here? 5 is common. Into bracket x plus 9. So you realize the component in the first bracket and the second bracket are the same. Therefore, I take x plus 5, first bracket. The second bracket, I pick one of them. Since the components are the same, therefore I have x plus 9. So this is the factorization of the expression x squared plus 14x plus 45. That becomes the answer. After I have factorized, I will want now to teach you how do you solve when you turn this into an equation. I will use it now as an example and say, example, solve for x. Solve for x. And what are we solving? We are solving x squared plus 14x plus 45 is equal to 0. Okay? Remember from above there, I have taught you how to find the product and the sum and how to find the factors. Therefore, I'll remove this in order to get this space to solve the question below to find the value of x. Now, for finding the value of x, then we shall say the equation is x squared plus 14x plus 45 is equal to 0. Product is equal to a by c, which is equal to 45, because here the coefficient of x squared here is 1. Then the sum is equal to b, the coefficient of x, which is 14. Therefore, I simply write the factors because I already taught you how to find the factors. Then the factors are 9 and 40 and 5. After knowing what the factors are, we use these two factors to expand the coefficient of x. Therefore, you have x squared plus 9x plus 5x plus 45 is equal to 0. After I have expanded, I factorize the first. I skip the sign of operation, I factorize the second. Therefore, here what is common? X is common into x squared is x, x into 9x is plus 9, plus 5 here is common. 5 into 5x is x, 5 into 45 is plus 9 is equal to 0. The components here and the components here are the same. Therefore, I have x plus 5, first bracket, x plus 9, second bracket is equal to 0. What next? I equate each individual